You could be right and I could be wrong. We could just fight or we could...
This is Bridge the Gap with Mark and Dave, the program that seeks for the truth no matter where it is found. I'm Mark.
And I'm David.
It doesn't matter what you've been through. It just matters where you go.
I agree. Yeah. And right now that's where I get stuck. I don't agree. Wounds leave scars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has scars.
Sure.
And whether they're self-inflicted or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody has their own scars. That I feel stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a small pool that's just slowly evaporating from the weather. The heat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just slowly evaporating. And I'm just slowly being tapped out with nothing to replenish it. And I'm looking for that confluence of streams to come in and fill me back up, and I just can't find it. I don't.
And you've been doing that for a long time.
Decade.
And
more.
It can be discouraging.
Really focused the last 10 years.
And I have to say that what I told you is what I believe. It's not necessarily your truth. I respect your truth. I think personally any thought that is negative and hopeless is not productive.
Right.
No matter how bad things get. It's easy for me to say.
Well, no, it's true. I agree. I agree 100% with that. I've thought about that. I've said that out loud.
It's easier said than done, right?
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. People who deal with bouts of depression, they describe it as though, look, to everybody else, the sun might be shining, but there's this big rain cloud on my shoulders and it won't go away. I can't think positive thoughts. Everything in my life, I borrow trouble. Does that sound familiar to you
Absolutely.
at all?
So I can go back to even talking to Cindy a little bit about this a couple of days ago. In Stranger Things, season 3, the very first episode, Hopper, the character Hopper, the police chief, was talking, and he said that he's like a black hole.
Okay.
He sucks everything in, and it gets destroyed. Never his intent, but that's how it always works out. And that's what I feel like. And I feel like everybody that has been associated with me, at some point, that relationship gets destroyed and I end up walking away knowing that I left scars on that person. And it's never my intent. I don't set out to, what can I do, to cause some trouble or to hurt this person or to be selfish and take advantage of somebody. You never think that way, right? For me, it just seems like every person that's been close to me, I've damaged or destroyed in some way, whether it was, an entire relationship or an experience like I put Ben and Isaac through, my own kids with their dad trying to kill himself. I've destroyed part of them, and I have this knowledge that I've done that, and I've always done that, trying to do my best every time. My intention is just a direction, right? And my intention has always pointed me in the right direction, but I never end up where I want to go. And through, you can say a million things about what causes that to happen, but that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like. I feel like the longer I'm here, the more harm I'm doing to people. I think even with our friendship that at some point something's going to happen that's going to damage that.
Because that's been your whole life.
That's been the pattern. It's just the way it works out. Let's say you come home one day and the house reeks of weed, right? Is that going to be the day that the straw broke the camel's back? Because you do a lot for me. You put up with a lot for me, taking me to the hospital, picking me up, dealing with listening to me throwing up at 2:00 in the morning, getting in the shower 55 times a day. Hey, take me to get a Coke. I'm really needing a Coke right now. Whatever. Take me to get my medicine. Take me to a doctor's appointment. I'm a burden. I recognize that. I am a burden. No matter where I'm at, I'm a burden right now. Right here specifically between us, it's at some point I worry that stress is going to get to you. And what if you do walk in the house one day and I did have a moment of weakness and I ran into an old buddy of mine and I got some weed from him and I smoked it in the house? I mean, not saying that's going to happen, but what if it does? What's that going to do to you? Are you going to be like, hey, this is my house. We have rules. You already agreed to this. You're out of here. Boom, relationship over. It doesn't always work out. Those things haven't always happened because of my own doing. I mean, other people have had their own faults and have caused these things to happen. You know, like my brother sticking me in a homeless shelter. That was great.
Real quick, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, I moved down to Kentucky and they offered for me to come stay there. And I did, through a series of events we can get into later. They ended up doing me wrong. And I called them on it, and they didn't want me at their house anymore. So they dropped me off at a homeless shelter in Lexington, Kentucky in the middle of winter, a week after I'd come out of the hospital, after being there 2 weeks I think I'd ruptured my esophagus. I'd been vomiting uncontrollably. I was in there for 2 weeks, and a week later, I'm in a homeless shelter giving my information to stay there.
Wow. Well, I want to go back to, because I feel like we're kind of bouncing around just a little bit.
A lot, yeah.
And it's okay. You know, I think we've got some good stuff, a lot to cover here, but I want to go back to, you made a comment earlier about how when you wanted to commit suicide and talk to God about it, he never stopped you. Mm-hmm. And you didn't ever expect an angel to come down. No. But you expected some sort of intervention that was never there.
Yeah, and I've said this out loud even in these moments. Mm-hmm. I don't need this grand, glorious light to come into the room. Just the most minimal thing I can recognize as being spiritually significant to come in and just let me know that you're there. Mm-hmm. Whether a butterfly came and landed on my hand and you're listening, or a thought that comes to my head or a feeling. You're right. So he allows me to go, doesn't intervene. Mm-hmm. And, I don't get that butterfly to land on my shoulder or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, I do the act. And then is he the one intervening? Is he the one that made sure those people were up at 3:00 in the morning, my neighbors partying, that heard me moaning in my death throes? Mm-hmm. They called the cops and they broke into my house and found me dying.
What do you think?
I think if that's the case, that's a pretty crappy thing to do. To actually, if
there's a better way to do it.
If you're going to let me exercise my agency, don't come in at the last minute after I've exercised my agency and take away that agency. Because I did it. That last time was 4,000 milligrams of fast-acting insulin. Mm-hmm. And, I took it. All day I prayed. I asked, please, please, please. And like I said, the prayers just bounce off the ceiling, and I'm just asking for the most minimal thing, something that I'll recognize as you, and that'll be enough. And maybe he knows that maybe he's aware that, if I do this, it won't change anything. You'll just do it again tomorrow. I don't know what his thoughts are or God's thoughts are on it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But if you're, I don't understand why not reach out to a struggling soul who you say is your son? And I know how I feel about my sons. Mm-hmm. Take a bullet for him,
You're a good dad.
Take a DUI for him and ruin my credit and lose my car and everything. The future financial situation is destroyed. Done that. And that's how I feel about my sons, and I've been seeking and asking and begging and searching and talking and praying and trying for so long, and then he comes in after the fact, make sure that I'm not, we're going to let you go yet. Mm-hmm. You still got stuff to do. Okay, what? Here I am, 4 years later, saying what?
Still waiting.
What? And it's getting worse. It's getting harder to deal with. There used to be sometimes throughout the day, sometimes this day, go a day or two, and, those thoughts wouldn't dominate me. Mm-hmm. And now it's every day, all the time. Even as we're sitting here having this conversation, these thoughts are coming, about dying and how I could do it in the least messy way. And why not give me that small thing I asked for? I'm obviously seeking the truth. I'm obviously wanting to know what you want of me, how I can experience fulfillment. Why not give that to me? Mm-hmm. Why give it to, what's the guy's name? Enos.
But not you.
Right. Well, he prayed one day, and he's this horrible man. And he prays one day, and I'm going to send some angels down and put 1 chapter or 2 chapters in the Book of Mormon about him.
Yeah.
So people like Adam can read this story and get angry. I've been over...
Another funny joke.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for 30-something years. I've been seeking this. And those moments of complete and utter despair at my worst possible moments, why not interject yourself there a little bit so I can recognize it?
Sure.
So I can see it. I mean, I'm sure he has.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has interjected before, but I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to know it. No matter how small.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me why you would want that. You also shared with me another time that this is how you phrased it. It was another time that you attempted suicide. And you said, many times I attempted suicide. I really wasn't intending to go through with it, but this time I really did want to go through with it. This is one of the reasons why you're upset with God, perhaps, questioning the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and whether or not any member of the church is really in tune. You said somebody intervened, but it wasn't a member of the church.
Oh, yeah. It was Dennis.
And you wondered whether or not Dennis actually saved your life, because you would have gone through with it that night, but out of the blue, somebody that cared about you, who was not a member of the church, called you. You expected them to be a member, but the one that called you was another drug addict?
Yeah, I didn't really expect. I wasn't like...
Yeah, I want you now to explain it in your words the way you remember that.
It was the Kentucky incident where I was put in the homeless shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember begging my brother, I don't know if I was begging, but asking sincerely, let me stay here 2 more days until my disability check comes, and then I won't have to go to a homeless shelter. And he refused. No, we've got to be out of here, rah, rah, rah. So, okay. So I stayed in the homeless shelter a couple of nights, and my disability check came through. So the first thing I did was I went and got a hotel room. I hadn't slept. I was around the worst kind of people. And so I paid some guy like $40. I walked down to a gas station where there was an ATM about 3 miles away from the homeless shelter. Paid some guy $40 to take me to a hotel. And that just happened to be by a Walmart. And within walking distance. So I went and checked into the hotel, paid for 2 nights, went to the Walmart, I think I bought a belt and a rope and some tennis balls and a bunch of alcohol. And I remember drinking a little bit, and then I was like, well, let me try and see if this is going to work, So because I figured nobody's going to find me in a hotel room. I paid for the room for 2 days. Do not disturb signs on the door. Nobody's going to bother me. I'll be good. Nobody's going to walk in and stop me halfway through or be able to revive me when they do find me. So I remember testing the balls out, and they just weren't quite right, because I was trying to sit them in there so they'd fit right on the carotid artery, so they would just cut that pressure off and the death would be really quick. I'd be unconscious before any real pain set in. I'd really given this a lot of thought, because I checked at Walmart to see if there was an insulin refill for me there. They said, no, you don't have any, because I was going to do that. That's why I went with the hanging method. And I'd researched it a lot, so I knew the best way to do it, fastest and least painful. But I tried the tennis balls. They didn't work. The belt didn't seem to work either, so I went and got a rope. I went and got another belt, and I got golf balls and more alcohol, and I drank a lot. Tested it. I was like, yeah, this is going to work. This is absolutely going to work. So it was just a matter of me waiting, I guess, to get the courage to do it. I was just waiting for that moment, because you get you think about it, and eventually it's like, okay, I'm doing it, and you do it. And I just about gotten to that point. We just finished the last of the beer, and it was a lot. And I went and tied the belt up, and my cell phone rang. And it was this guy, Dennis, that I had worked with prior to me getting sick the second time. Because I got sick, and then it kind of went away for 6 months. And I worked, and then I met this guy, Dennis. He was a meth addict. And anyway, I really didn't associate with him too much, but I was his friend. I went out of my way to be his friend because he was struggling with stuff. And anyway, I didn't talk to him for, I got sick, left to Minnesota. I was there 2 years, almost 3 years. And then, so I hadn't spoken to this guy in over 3 years. And I'd switched my phone number, phone providers and everything. And my phone rang, and it was him. was like, Dennis? I didn't know who it was at first. He's like, this is Dennis. He's telling me, yeah, I was just going through my phone and I saw your number. And, my first thought was, I don't have that number anymore. I lived in Idaho when I had that number, and I lived in Minnesota. Changed my number about a year after being there. And he just called and, he says, what are you doing? I didn't tell him everything. I think I related to him that I'm in Kentucky. I told him about, getting kicked out and living in a homeless shelter. And he said, well, why don't you come stay with me at my sister's house? You can sleep on the couch for a while till you get on your feet. And I called my dad, and he bought me a bus ticket out to Salt Lake, and here I am.
And that's when you came back and reconnected with your kids. And that's when I really started to finally get to know you, because I didn't really know who you were. I knew of you.
I think we met like once or twice before.
Yeah, at the most, just in brief, passing. And so that's when, we started taking the kids out to visit you, because you were now in Utah, and that's where we were. And eventually that turned into you coming into our home and living with us.
Yep.
Do you regret any of those opportunities?
Yeah, no. Because after me coming here, I had, and I say yeah because of what I did to Ben and Isaac. Because after me coming here, I was still struggling with those. They're really intense, those wanting to die feelings. That's all I could think about. And then I was in that drug-riddled neighborhood in Ogden, like drug central Utah. I was surrounded with it, and I remember attempting suicide there again. My stupid neighbors downstairs calling the police because they heard me fall or something. And so I attempted suicide there, and then I ended up in Brigham City shortly after that and put them through it again. So I regret that I scarred them that way.
Everything is complicated. You always get the full package when you buy anything, right?
Sure.
Things you want and things you don't want.
Right.
I guess what I'm curious about knowing is this man named Dennis. Did you call him a meth head?
Yeah. Meth addict. He's any drug, but meth was his drug of choice.
And that's not saying that derogatively. It's just
Fact.
the word that you use when people take meth, right? He calls you. He's the one that you attribute to saving your life that day.
Yeah.
A meth head saved your life.
Yep.
Do you think that is Dennis intervening in your life or God?
Well, see, that's a complex question. It's easy to say it was God, right?
Well, yeah, and it's your reality.
Dennis did not have my number. So there was obviously something more to it than that, and yeah, I can't say unequivocally, but God did intervene there. He had to. There was no other explanation, right?
So if it was God, how could God work through a meth head? It's
interesting.
A curious thought.
Well, it is. Because he's far gone. I check the newspaper all the time, the online newspaper, to see if he's been arrested. Because that's how heavily involved he is. I still think about him. Yeah, I don't know. I think God works through anybody. God can
I do
work through anybody.
too. In fact, I don't really question that. I think that there's good in all people, and God can work through anyone He wants to.
Sure, and I'm sure in Dennis's mind he wasn't. Oh, gee, I got this prompting from God to call you. I'm sure in Dennis's mind he was like, oh, Adam, he's still on my contacts list.
Right.
I'm gonna give him a call. He was always a good pal. Because we were always good pals.
Yep.
I remember not taking a promotion at the job so he could take it. Because I knew I was getting sick again. And so I passed the opportunity along to him. I really liked him. I really wanted him to do well. And some people would say it's karma, because I was really nice to Dennis and treated him better than most.
And others would say it's coincidence. Others say it's just happen chance.
But for him to have my number, that's not, you don't just randomly get people's contact information in your phone.
Right. It's 1 in a million, but it happens. That's everybody's way to explain what happened.
The interesting part is that I can say for sure that I was not seeking God's intervention at that time. I had hit rock bottom, and I knew it.
Wow, that's kind of interesting.
I was homeless. I had nowhere to go.
So all the times you wanted Him to intervene, He didn't. And the one time you didn't want to intervene, you're wondering if maybe He did. It's like
Exactly. So
the opposite of what everything you wanted in life is happening to you.
Exactly. And it's to the point, it just causes more confusion for me, because it kind of makes you doubt, in a way, God. For me anyway, it makes me doubt God, because if I'm begging and pleading and time again seeking you out, and you can completely ignore me, and at least it seems like you do, right? And I end up doing the worst thing you could possibly do, and offing myself, being completely ignored, and then the time that I ignore you, you intervene. So is that telling me that I just need to not think about this so much and just let life happen? Or do I continue to try and seek you out and look for that purpose and meaning? Or do I just live life and do what I think my inner self tells me is the right thing and live how I should, and God will do the rest?
Those are very good questions.
So I don't know. And that's like, come back to this, like God's never going to send an angel down to me. He's never going to speak to me in some loud booming voice. It's like, because I don't need that. I don't need that to know that he's there. I know he's there, so he's not going to give me that. So I've never asked for it. So maybe I've just got to trust that inner voice, that light of Christ that everybody's born with, because everybody's born with right and wrong inside of them. So maybe I've just got to trust that and stop seeking so much.
That's it for this episode of Bridge the Gap.
Truth seekers,